Hello, everyone out in the Artfully Connected Facebook group. And thank you for joining us again for another episode of Meet the Artist. And today I want to thank our special guest, Mary Kingslan Gibilisco.
Crowd goes wild.
Woo! Yes, it does. So thank you for joining me tonight. And I can't wait to hear all about your artful journey. And for those watching, if there's any questions you have for Mary, please post them in the comments and we'll try and make sure we get them all answered tonight. If not, Mary will be watching the comments in the days to come. So she'll answer them then. If you tag her, meaning if you type her name in first and it'll come up in a blue color, she'll know that you asked a question and she'll get back to you. But thank you once again for being here. I'll start off. You want to say any few words?
Well, just thank you for having me. I was texting my good friend Janelle, who I know is out there, and I said, this is, I think, the first time I've put on makeup really since March. So I'm pretty excited about that. And just a great opportunity. I can't believe all the opportunities that we have now that have been discovered during this lockdown. I find it amazing. So I always try to look for that silver lining and being able to connect with new friends and old friends, not meaning old, but old acquaintances.
Seasoned,
yes. Just so terrific. So I just wanted to say that I'm so excited to be able to still connect with everyone in this way.
and you're right, though, a lot of opportunities or things have, things is not the right term, but have happened because of COVID, as we do not wish a pandemic on anyone by all means, but it has made us think about things more. It's like life had to slow down, right? Almost to a complete stop. Yeah.
So true. So true.
It's but I'm so happy to be able to, I always say I want to bridge the gap between the teachers and the students. I wanted to be that bridge and bring people together, because I know the artists want to teach as much as the students want to learn, So I was very fortunate to be in the right place at the right time for me to be able to do that for everyone. So I'm very, very honored to be there for you, for the other teachers, for the students. It's wonderful. So the first question I have for you is, tell us where you're from.
I was actually born in St. Louis, and then my father, who was an avid fisherman, decided we were all going to move to Kentucky, and he always was in personnel. And so we moved to Paducah, Kentucky, and it wasn't the quilt capital that it is now. And then we moved to Omaha, and I would say that I am really a Nebraskan, and I even have my Nebraska shirt on to prove it. So I've lived in Omaha for, I would say, most of my life. Went to school here and have raised my family here. So Nebraska, someone once said, why do you live in Nebraska? And I don't think they meant it in a good way. And so my response is always, I can't explain paradise. Actually, Nebraska is a super place to live. I'm not sure I'd want to visit, but I love it here. I've always loved it. I have been everywhere, and my heart stays in Nebraska.
That's amazing, because Nebraska is like not necessarily one of the states on my list to go visit.
And you know what's so interesting is there's a lot of misconceptions. First of all, I live in Omaha, which is, for the Midwest standard, it's a city of about 1 million. So it's very, we have everything we possibly need. It's not flat because we're right next to the Missouri River. It's rolling hills. It's very hilly. Nebraska was the home of Arbor Day, and so we actually have the only man-made forest in Nebraska, Halsey. And it's very, very treed because of Arbor Day. So if your conception is it's flat and there's nothing to do, you should erase that because it is hilly, lots to do, and lots of trees that were planted. The first Arbor Day, I think 1 million trees were actually planted.
Wow. Because
Mhm.
I mean, that sounds beautiful.
You
It's
know, it actually is. It's a lovely place. Of course, there's no mountains, beaches, professional sports teams, but other than that, but that's where I'm from, Omaha.
so cool. Oh, wow. That's beautiful. That's a beautiful story though. So you've been in several states before you finally landed there, and you've been there most now
Yeah.
for a long time. Cool. So now we know, because the next question is kind of superfluous. Um, do you come from an artistic family?
You, why, yes, I do. My mother is, I'm proud to say, is Ann Kingslan, and my running joke has always been, I thought everyone's mother sat in the basement all day, every day, and painted, and so I just thought that was just what one's mother did. Before she painted, actually, she was a very, very accomplished seamstress, and like so many people, if you're going to get good at something, you kind of focus on it. And so she pretty much quit sewing when she discovered painting. Totally self-taught. She did take a few lessons from Joanne Johnson, but I can say when she started painting and opened a store, she had three. My brother is 20 months older than me, and my sister is 15 months younger than I am. And so it was three kids in like really like 2.5 years. I don't know how they really did
Wow.
that, but
How did she do that? Wow.
I don't know because my children are 9 years apart. I had two only children. I just can't imagine. So the whole point of that is she's very self-taught because of having, little kids, and so she just painted and read books and just learned how to paint. And so I would say that kind of put me on a different journey because knowing that she was self-taught, I was really encouraged by both of my parents to go to school and study art formally, which I did. And so I went to University of Nebraska. Like I said, I have the shirt, and studied art, and I have a Bachelor of Fine Arts degree, and then I've always loved history, so I wanted to couple it with art history, and then I minored in Spanish as well. And so that's was my educational journey. But I can always I always say that I learned to be kind of a creative thinker when I went to college for art, but I learned all my technical skills in the decorative art world.
Yeah, cool. Because like I have the next question again. When did you start painting? But you pretty much that is your life, pretty much, right? Is what you're saying, because your mom was doing it every day. Like, did she let you come down and play in the paints occasionally?
I could, yes, and I can say that our house was just filled with art supplies, and I just love to make things. And so our house was, I love to bake, and so that's why I just love to make things. So I would say it was just very um kind of free form, that there were art supplies and you can just make what you want, what we wanted to make. um my my brother and sister are both very artistic, except my brother is in IT, and my sister is a chemist, and so they kind of went a slightly different route. But yeah, it was a house just filled with art, and so if you wanted to do an art project, there it was. And again, I just thought that was how everybody's house was. That was normal.
Yeah. So did a lot of your friends growing up come over and want to do art projects with you?
I would say yes, especially because my mom, well, and we all have this experience. Oh, you're artistic. Will you be the Girl Scout leader or the Boy Scout leader? And so, all we did, and I don't know that we ever earned badges. We just made art stuff um, during scouting. So yeah, everyone knew that our house was you need paint brushes, crayons, and then I think I was in about the second grade. My parents opened their first art store,
Uh-huh.
so there was always that. and I love business. And so that was always kind of a really fun aspect of growing up, seeing a woman who, had 3 kids in 3 years, open an art store. And my father, he did the business side of it, but, and then she started traveling. I'm like, and again, I thought that's just what women did. And of course, my grandmother, who was like 2,000 years old, said, and my mom's name is really Anna Marie. She would say, Anna Marie, you better quit traveling. You're going to lose your husband. And my dad was like, she needs to get out there and work. He thought it was great. And so, for two people that were, married in the 50s to have this really unique journey, because my dad was just so encouraging of my mom's ability, and then taking her ability and they turned it into a business. So again, what a great way to grow up, having a dad who was like, total girl power, and having a mom that, was willing to just kind of follow her dream.
That is amazing. Like you said, for that time period, for the woman to be the one doing the work. And
Mm-hmm.
yeah, that was kind of very, very unusual. Now, is your grandma, is she artistic, or your mom's dad, was he artistic, or?
The grandparents?
Yeah, her parents.
No, kind of not at all. I wish that I could pop up a few pictures of my grandma's house. Of course, it had the Jello molds on the wall, and no, she was not. She was not artistic at all, and I don't know, how my mom fell into that. My and I have to say, my dad was a hospital administrator, so he really, he was very successful, and then just was willing to support my mother in any way, because he of course had his own career. But my father's mother just, and his sister, were very artistic, always either painting, knitting, all kinds of things. So I think that my dad grew up that way, so maybe that's where my mom got it. So just a very interesting journey, because for example, if my dad were alive, he would be 94. So that tells you how ahead of the curve they were in terms of um, a liberated couple, I suppose. I don't know what the right term would be, but again, however you grow up, you just think it's the way it goes. And
Exactly. So I know that your mom, it sounds like, and obviously was a very big influence on your life. But is there another artist or any other artists that influenced you greatly?
um, I would say that Peggy Stogdill. Um, first of all, just being I don't know if you had a chance to meet her, but she was just the most gentle, unassuming sort, and made amazing things come off her brush.
Mm.
I thought that was, I just loved talking, and she would come to our studio. Deanne Fortnum, I just always amazed with her precision and attention to detail. Um, Pat Wakefield lived in Kansas City, and so I would go down and take classes now and again with Pat Wakefield. Sherry Rawl, again, that ability to just make amazing things come off a brush. Uh, I would say that one person that's had a great deal of influence on me is Janelle Johnson. Again, what I think about Janelle is she, has run the gamut, in that she worked for, she had a shop. She worked for Donna Bryant. She worked for SDP, and then became a very independent person as well, and having her own career, working side by side with her husband. And I have always found that super impressive, that she has just continued to be a part of the industry. And I think Janelle is like 2 years older than me, so I just always like her to know that. But we have been friends for 30 years, maybe.
I don't think she wants you to be telling things like that.
tell it all. Yeah. And so I think going through, she's probably one of the few that of the artists that were we went through kind of the same things together, that, having kids and trying to do that work-life balance, and just amazing experiences and meeting people like Janelle, like Peggy, Sherry, and all the students I've had the pleasure to know, all because of that connection through painting. Who, and I've had the chance to go. I taught in South Korea, which my mother thought I was in North Korea. I don't know. I'm glad we figured that out before I was gone too long. But I've taught in South Korea and Italy, Japan several times, Canada, all over the United States. And just amazing. And watching my mom do the same thing, and being able to share what with people, and the feedback from appreciative students, just an amazing journey, and all through painting. So those shout outs to my friends. I mean, my friends that I've had forever have been through painting, because we have this shared bond that I used to always say, I don't know what people do all day if they don't paint. And so I just love that. I just love that bond with students and friends.
It's a universal language as far as I'm concerned, because you don't have to speak the same language verbally. You can, just show them what you're doing, and they know what you're doing. So that's wonderful. When did you actually start? When did you decide to teach or start teaching? Was it right out of college, or?
I graduated from college in '84, and then I had the I don't know. I wanted to get what I called a real job, and so I was actually sales support after the sales with computers. I really, really, really like computers. I love technology, and so I did that for a few years, and then Christopher, our oldest, was born in '86, and I took 3 months off, and I went back to work, and I went back to work on a Tuesday, because I think it was around Memorial Day, and I quit on Friday because I said I didn't know I was going to like him so much. And so and that's when my mother still had an art store, and the seminars were going on. So this was now in '86, and I said, can I come work for you? And then I could just bring Christopher with me. And so, like I said, it's because I fell in love with a baby that I started working for my parents. And so the whole idea was I was just going to, manage the seminars and help with the art store and the books. And then I think it was in about, maybe about a year or so later, I started teaching. I took all the seminars my mom was teaching, which she taught 18 seminars a year. And so if it wasn't a repeat, I took it. And I halfway thought, I want to learn. And then I thought, this is loads better than working, sitting in a class with cool ladies and painting. So that's when I started teaching, was probably about in '87, after taking 18 seminars that year.
Wow. So were you already a designer because you had that formal training in college, or is that again something that you developed, like the 18 seminars you took were your mom's designs, and so you painted her line drawings? When did you decide to do your own, or how did that come about?
It was almost simultaneous, because like you mentioned, when I was in school, of course, we had to come up with our own things. And what was so interesting when I was in school is I had a million ideas, but I didn't know how to execute them because my technical skills were so bad. And so after taking all of these seminars and actually learning how to mix, how to get that idea that I had and then implement it. Because before I had these ideas, but I wasn't, I went a really weird route to create. And so then I learned how to be more systematic, and I'm a pretty systematic, organized person anyway. And so doing things, I wish my mother were on this because she would love this. Doing things exactly like my mom told me to do it was like, this is awesome. This really works out.
I'll give you a recording later. You can
Yeah.
play it for her.
She'll go, who is that? That's not my daughter. She's too nice. So it was really great to learn all those technical skills, because then I could take what my ideas were and then execute them systematically rather than going round and round and round in circles. And so in my teaching, knowing that that is what I always wanted to know how to do it, that's how we teach, and that's what decorative painting does. You know, anybody can do it because it's systematic and it's step by step. And I teach I teach at a particular summer camp. It's to at-risk youth. And I always tell them, if you can write your name and tie your shoes, I can teach you how to draw and paint, because that's all it takes. And pay attention and do exactly what I say. But I don't mention that to them because, I didn't want to do that either. But that was what was really great about taking all of those seminars, was learning the technical skills. And then I could actually put down on paper, put down on canvas, put down on wood, whatever I was in my brain.
Excellent. So out of all those things in your brain, what would you say is your favorite subject matter?
I could, it's kind of has morphed, because I would say my favorite subject matter was always still life, and especially trompe l'oeil. I liked still life, especially still life, because it's easy to teach. It's very systematic. I love trompe l'oeil because of that fool the eye aspect. And then I can't remember how many years ago it was. I still had my studio. I decided, oh, I forgot Johnny Lilydall. I took, and that's who I had to my studio, were artists that I wanted to learn from. So I had Johnny Lilydall come out a few times and fell in love with historical portraits. And so kind of, I've been working on those quite a bit lately, just to test my skills. And I think what I would love to do, especially for students, take my first ones, which I thought were really good. They weren't, but line them up to see the progression, because it has been really fun, because again, that wasn't easy to learn how to do portraits. It kept my interest going, and then it also put me back in the student's place, when a student would say, when you get really good at something, sometimes it's difficult to relate to a student that's struggling, and going back and trying something that was new to me, put me back in the seat of the student. And that was a really good thing, because then I'm like, yeah, it isn't easy. And I also take piano lessons. That'll humble you. But again, try something that's really difficult. If you're a teacher and you have lost empathy for students, try something that doesn't come easily, and then you'll go, oh yeah, that's what that's like.
They say, I've heard a lot of artists that I've interviewed say that they learn a lot from their students, like to be a better teacher, or how to iterate what it is you're trying to ask them to do or tell them to do. You have to find different ways sometimes to tell them.
Right.
So you can learn a lot from your students.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
So when you say that you had things in your head, is it something that was inspired by something you saw, or how do those designs come to you?
Well, I would say pre-internet, ideas would come by maybe going to antique stores and looking for things for setups. Sometimes it was just like, I'm sure many have heard the term a morgue, and a morgue is where you keep all of your clippings of ideas. And my mom and I have one that's just one file might just be eggs, another one might be apples, another file might just be containers or copper containers. And so going through the files and looking for something to maybe build a still life around, just a really great container, what would go with this container, and then start adding things together. And I don't use the clippings as much any longer. If I need resource material, I'll go on the internet or in my my setup items. And I still have a lot of setup items, because especially when I'm teaching design, drawing, or working with these at-risk girls, I always tell them, I'm going to teach you what I learned in art school. I'm going to teach you everything in 5 days that I learned in 4 years, but because we go through the whole gamut. So that's where I get my inspiration, is either, looking through the morgue or online ideas, and looking at the items that I own. And that's usually how I come up with a still life idea. But most of the time it's like, I've always wanted to paint this cool blue vase, like what or what's the classics tomorrow night. The inspiration for that one was the cool reflection. I wanted to do a reflection. And so then you build around it. It reminds me of like getting dressed, because I can tell you sometimes I build an outfit, I got like a really cool belt. So let's, build an outfit around a really cool belt. So that's, I think, how paintings sometimes come about. Something that you really want to do, so you build a painting around it.
That's neat. Yeah. I've never thought about it that way, but I think I'm the same way. There's some element that I really like, and it's like, okay, what can I do with this? Or how can
Right.
how can I do that? So it sounds also too like in your career, you've dabbled in variety of mediums, right? What would be your favorite medium? I mean, is obviously you do a lot now with Genesis oils. Is that heat set oils? Is that your favorite medium now?
I would say that I have never actually painted in anything other than oils. So from 79 to 99, I painted in traditional oils. And then in 99, Genesis, Jan Sharman, who was another artist friend that sadly we have lost, she was working in the Genesis booth at a trade show. And I'm like, what are you doing? And so she showed me this paint, and um, and then invited me to like an informational weekend workshop. So my mom and I went, and we decided we were going to go to find out about it, to tell everybody not to use it. Because we're like, this is too good to be true. And so we went, and we both kept looking for a flaw. And this paint is so interesting because it functions like an oil, but it's non-toxic, stays forever open on your palette until you dry it with a heat gun. And so it's just really fascinating. But it was, you know, we went to learn about it so we could tell students, don't get involved. And then that was in 99, and I've never used any paint ever again that wasn't Genesis, just because it really fit my lifestyle. Because in 99 I had a 4-year-old, and so I wanted to paint, but I wouldn't paint unless I had 2 hours to sit down and paint, with setup time and cleaning brushes afterwards, etc. And so it really just fit my lifestyle. And so I kept thinking, well, maybe I'll go back to traditional oils, but I just never have, just because it fits my lifestyle. And then I also like it for teaching, because you can get all the way through a project without worrying about the dry time.
Nice. Nice.
Yeah,
I've not tried it, so I'll have to put that on my list of things to do someday.
well, I'll tell you, I have like little sampler kits. If anyone in our viewing audience wants a sampler kit to give it a try, send me a shout out, either here, or send me an email. And I can say, I used to work with Winsor & Newton, and then we switched to archival, and now I work with Genesis. And I'm a consultant for them and to them. But if something better comes along, I'm moving on, because I don't get married to a product. It's whatever's best for me and for students. And so I can tell you that if I say something I'm using it, it's not because someone's paying me to say that. It's because it's my favorite. And so I've never, been paid to use products except our brush line.
I'll get to the next question.
Yeah, but like I said, I just use what fits either my lifestyle or teaching style. And so that's why I switched to the Genesis. It was because of the 4-year-old,
Uh-huh.
who's now 25.
So why was it because of the 4-year-old? Because
She had an inability to entertain herself, and
oh,
so I just really felt like I didn't have large blocks of time to paint.
I see. Okay.
And my husband works a really weird job. And so, he is a lighting designer at a live theater, not like a movie theater, but he's a lighting designer at the largest community playhouse in the United States, if not the universe. And people would always say, you know, why aren't you ever at the theater? Well, someone's got to raise these kids, and so I had to look for ways to um, maximize my free time.
I thought it was going to be because I had my 4 or 5 year old son at the time. I had an oil painting teacher here, and we were doing like my first oil painting. And he only knows me with acrylics. So he could touch my piece and it would be dry. He wouldn't get his hands in it. Well, this time he went to my piece and he went like this and it was oils and it totally obliterated my painting. And the teacher saw him and she was like, I had to fix it real. She fixed it for me and didn't tell me about it till, the next day or something. What he had, when she left, what he had done is put his fingers in my painting and his little face was like he's gonna be in trouble because he messed up mama's painting.
you know, when I was a kid, when I would come down in the morning for, my mother would already be up, and of course she would have breakfast for us and you know, that's just the way it was supposed to be. Now I know that was a lot of work, as a parent. But every morning, the three of us, these three stair-step children, she had this built-in oven, and there was a cabinet above it, and we'd always look above because that's where she put her painting that she had been working on while we slept. So we'd always get up and look so that it would never get touched. But yeah, she always worked in oils, and it was that same idea that you got three little kids, you put your painting up.
So we have a question from Eleanor. She was asking, is it water-based? So I'm assuming is the heat set oil paint water-based?
It is sort of water-based. It's a polymer. That's the binder, just like what's in acrylics, except you can clean up with soap and water, but you can't thin it with water. It does not thin out with water. You can thin it, has a quality called thixotropic, and you can take your knife and whip it up and it gets pretty thin. Or you can use thinning medium, the Genesis thinning medium, or you can use actual terp. But it's clean up with soap and water because it's non-toxic, but you can't thin it with water. So it's kind of neither here nor there.
Okay. So the next question is, do you have a favorite brush? Because you touched a little bit on it before. So do you have a favorite brush or a line of brushes?
When I work on canvas, I like the Royal Sabletech brushes because canvas, when I work on canvas, I do a lot of scrubbing, and those are pretty hardy. And so those seem to stand up to the abuse. And then a million years ago, my mom developed a line of brushes that was specific to her technique. And it was a line of filberts and mops. And now Royal makes them for us. And the filberts are, I'm sure everyone's familiar with a filbert, but it's like a flat without corners. A lot of filberts are really long, and that doesn't work well for our technique. And so these are short filberts with kind of a full belly. And they are synthetic, and so they're very soft but not floppy. And so that's everything that they needed to be. They need to have a full belly, come to a fairly sharp point, but not be floppy or long. So that's the filberts. And then the mops are a really terrific refining tool. And it was actually Peggy Stogdell who asked us we had a 0, 1, 2, and a 4. And she asked us if we would do a 2-aught because she would take her 0 mop and kind of, I don't know, through use or on purpose, but make it really small. And so we, because Peggy wanted a 2-aught, we developed a 2-aught mop. And so it's a really small little refining tool. You never load it with paint. It just smooths out an area.
And these are these on your website for sale if people want to get?
Yeah, they are. Probably there's a 17, 15 piece brush set that includes a bunch of flats, all of the filberts, and all of the mops for $52.95, and right now it's free shipping. So I know.
So I'm looking at thank you everyone who's here watching us tonight. And thank you for some of these questions that I'm getting. Joyce is saying you can clean it up with water, but it is not water based. So that was the answer to your question, more or less. And Corey's asking, where can we buy Genesis in or around Alberta, Canada? Are you familiar with any shops up there that might carry Genesis paints?
Gosh, I can contact Genesis, and it's American Art and Clay Company is who actually makes this. They make polymer clay. And I'll answer this question, but I personally think Genesis is just liquid Fimo because it has all those same qualities. But I can ask the parent company if they have a distributor up there. If there isn't one, I do ship to Canada.
Oh, there you go. So you don't even have one-stop shopping. Get your brushes and your paints from Mary.
Yeah, I used to teach at a shop in Edmonton, and she carried the paint, but I do not think Carol Maxwell. I don't think she carries it any longer.
Janelle's asking, will students be drying their class projects in their oven?
Oven or with a heat gun or an embossing tool.
Oh, okay.
Anything that hair dryer doesn't get hot enough, but anything that can blow about 300 degrees, and then embossing gun will do it. Like a large toaster oven or just a regular oven, or if you have like a really super old space heater, the kind that seems to burn down your house, you can put you can, and those all need to go away, but that gets hot enough you can put your painting in front of that too.
That's scary.
Yeah, those all need to go away, but if you have one, you can use it.
There you go. What it says, let's see, my next question. Do you have a favorite technique?
I would say one of my favorite techniques is and I think this is a technique, is the way the process of creating a painting. And it makes it almost foolproof, in my opinion. First, you create the form, then you add the details, and then you add shines and shadows. And so that's, and then each layer is dry before you move on. And that's regardless if it's acrylics or oils or Genesis. And what that opens up is being able to do those layers of glazing. And the beauty of glazing is that the light refracts because you're doing these thin layers of paint, and the light actually hits the surface and bounces back, and that's how you get that glow. And so I would say that's my favorite technique, because especially for teaching, because we form, details, shines, shadows, and then there's two other things sometimes that I always in class call them personal issues. Something needs to be worked on. So, but if you don't have any personal issues, it's those nice steps.
Cool. Okay. Cheryl's asking, can you paint over acrylics with Genesis oils?
Yes, you can. I would say that every ground that I start with is either like a canvas with gesso, and gesso is an acrylic base. You can prep surfaces like with Decorative Americana. You can paint over acrylic, but you have to watch that you're working with a true acrylic. For example, Delta is a latex, and what it does is, because Genesis is a plastic polymer, it bonds with latex. So you have to be sure you're using a true acrylic. So if you're working with Americana or you have a gesso base, you'll be fine. What's really kind of nice is, let's say that you want to repaint your acrylic background, you can actually paint over Genesis with acrylics. So you can paint over, under and over Genesis with acrylics. And then the varnish is water-based, and then you can paint Genesis on top of your water-based varnish also. I love to varnish and then look at my painting and go, it's finished or it's not, because you never really know what you got until you varnish it. So you can paint. The only thing you really can't do is paint traditional oils on top of it. The traditional oils will not dry. They're sticky. They go there's some sort of chemical reaction. So you can absolutely layer acrylics and Genesis. You just can't mix them together.
That's very interesting. I never knew that. Thank you for asking that question, Cheryl. You're getting a lot of kudos, by the way, over in the chat bar, so I just can't mention all of them. Were there any Genesis colors discontinued?
Over the years, there have been a few that have been discontinued. I think there's like 80 some. And those of you that aren't familiar with Genesis, is that every color is in a value scale, and value meaning lightness and darkness of color. And so every color goes from 1 to 8, and developed by Steve Golden. But to finally answer your question, there's so many colors, but every once in a while they run out. They can no longer get a raw material, and I don't know if it's unavailable, but because considering that all of Genesis is non-toxic, sometimes they can't get a raw material that's non-toxic. And so the only colors since '99, since I've been involved, cobalt blue has been discontinued, Genesis red, and then I think phthalo blue 6. So 3 colors have been discontinued. Oh, and Genesis gold. So that's pretty amazing over all these years.
That is pretty amazing.
But it's the parent company is American Art and Clay Company, and they're the largest supplier of clay glaze kilns to the schools. And so they don't sell any product that's toxic or has any. And so it's kind of interesting because it does limit them sometimes.
So a lot of people are asking for your sample kit. And so Janelle put your email address in there, I believe. So
Thanks, Janelle.
If you can go and find Janelle's post or comment, reply about her aunt Mary Kingslan Gibilisco's email address, you can email her and she'll send you a sample. Okay, what is your best tip that you give to people? What would be a tip that would be your best tip you could ever give to a budding artist?
Every once in a while, I've heard students say, I never finish anything. And then, and so I don't know how to finish. And I always say, well, you never finish because you don't know how to finish because you never finish. I would say with every single painting, even if it's going terrible, try to finish it, because one of two things is going to happen. You're either going to finish it and it looks great, or you're going to finish it and it doesn't work out, but you'll have some knowledge what you'll do the next time. And if you never finish a painting, you never learn how to finish a painting. So my tip is to, no matter what, finish every single painting, just to find out, like I said, maybe it's going to be the greatest thing ever. It looks great at the end, or what you would have done different along the way. So that is my my biggest tip is perseverance, and you'll learn some grit if you just soldier through. And never, ever, ever bail on a class. And also, this is one thing that those that have taken classes from me, when they say, I'm just going to take notes and I'll finish it at home, I always say, no, you aren't, because no, you won't. So in a class, take a deep breath and keep going, because you learn by doing, not by taking notes, not by watching. It's
There you go.
It's kind of like an exercise video. Oh yeah, you're going to get in shape if you just watch an exercise video. No, you got to do it.
Oh, don't burst my bubble, Mary.
I know.
That's the most fun I have, is watching someone else do the work.
I don't.
Oh my God. Here's another question for you. Is there a medium, subject, or technique that you would like to try?
I would like to get better at landscapes. So I would say the only landscapes I have really done are maybe back behind. So I would enjoy learning more about landscapes and the theory behind it. So I would like to try that. I have tried, I guess, well, I do a lot of colored pencils with Janelle, so I shouldn't say that I've never done anything other than oil. So I have done a lot with colored pencils, and when I teach the at-risk youth, I do some experimentation. I did a little bit with. I'd like to get better at and understand the acrylic pouring a little bit better. But I'm such a kind of a controlling person that free form was a little difficult. But I would like to do a little bit more of that to kind of loosen up.
That would be cool.
Yeah, so really tight landscapes, more colored pencil, and acrylic pour. So
There
that's
you go. Acrylic pour, that I did one or two of those. It's like, yeah, that's a whole nother animal, right?
yeah, I thought it was really cool. And some of, like I said, when I taught it, not really knowing how to do it, but I taught it. Some of the girls just had really amazing things happen. But like I said, I just think anything like that just frees you up.
Yeah, it's not as tight, what I call rigid, as a still life.
Right,
It
right.
definitely is a whole nother world. So that brings me to, would you like to do a show and tell of what you're going to be painting for Artful Webinars?
Absolutely.
I know that someone had asked early on if you were going to show some of your beautiful artwork. So here we go.
Um, and if you every once in a while I get tagged and say show 7 paintings on Facebook. I'm like I always think maybe go to my website because there's like 350 different paintings on there. So if you want to see more look on the website also. But this is what I'll be teaching on November 8th. It's obviously Genesis. And this piece, and going back to the earlier conversation, I wanted to do something blue with a really strong reflection. That's how this whole piece started. So then I thought, what could I put with it? And so then thinking contrast, I put the yellow organic item next to it. In this particular class, I do love to teach theory. My mom and I used to always say we teach yourself out of business, because I'll tell you, if you ask a question, I'll tell you everything I know and make you an independent painter. But in this particular class, you'll learn all about still life, how to have a consistent light source. We talked a little bit about value earlier, but creating the value of each object and then going on with details, shines, and shadows. So you'll learn how value creates the form, and then perspective. This is a below eye level. So a little bit with that. Some color theory. If you get the kit of paint, it'll all be pre-mixed, but I'll tell you how to mix, and with the color scheme that's involved in this particular painting. Every painting is a design. There's always design theory, and so we'll go over that in class. Some of my favorite techniques: blending, glazing, shines, and shadows. And I like to say it's open to any student. You can use any media in which you are proficient. So what you can't do is say, Mary, can you help me with my acrylics? Because I'll have to say no, because I don't know how to help you. So if you're good in acrylics and you want to come for the project and the theory and the fellowship, that's awesome. Or traditional oils. There's a kit, masonite, some brushes. You can use your own brushes, a mixed palette of Genesis paint.
The question is, will we do our mixes before class, or are they coming already pre-mixed in the kit?
Pre-mixed in the kit.
There you go.
And then the surface, it's going to be partially gray and partially cream, which will make it a lot easier to get the background in because it's halfway there. Masonite. I love to paint on masonite hardboard is another name, canvas. And I remember when people used to say, well, you're not a real artist because you don't paint on canvas. And canvas was actually just started in Venice because they didn't have access to wood, but they had access to the sails for the ships. So canvas is relatively new. So masonite is more traditional, or wood. This is a picture of the brushes. Again, use what you have if you have brushes. This is what the pre-mixed palette will look like. Across the top, it'll say what the different objects are. Light, medium, and dark will be labeled for you, and then the pure colors will be at the bottom. And it'll come in a box. The paint doesn't dry until you heat it, so you don't have to worry about it drying. Sometimes people ask me, well, what if it sits on my front porch? Well, if your front porch is 265 degrees, it will get heat set, but otherwise I think you're fine.
Is there ever any fear for overheating, like baking it, like with the heat, with the embossing tool there? When I use embossing powders or something, sometimes I like leave the heat on it too long and it burns it or bakes it too much. Is there ever a problem with that with the Genesis heat set oils?
They are pretty durable. I mean, you could, burn your surface if you got it too close, but the paint rarely has an adverse reaction to heat because, it's made to stand up to heat. What would have an adverse reaction would be if you got it too close to a canvas, you could actually burn it. I've caught a painting or two on fire, but that's a whole nother interview.
I don't even want to know.
Let's just say never catch a painting on fire in a high-rise retirement center. That doesn't, but you get to see firemen, that's always a bonus. Oh, that was bad. But that is, I think that's the end of the slideshow.
Yeah.
There we go.
So we have Cheryl says she'll be buying the kit, but would love to learn to mix colors. So will you be going over color mixing as well in your class?
Yes.
There you go. So you will get that education as well, which is always fun. So I have, do you want to show what you're going to be doing tomorrow night on the Artfully Connected Facebook group?
I don't know that I have that prepared. And do you have that ready? Can you show it?
I could.
Let me see if I can pull it up.
I think. Let's see.
Please hold.
I know. Sorry. I can go in. I have it on. Oh, I know where it is. It's right here. Yeah, neither of us. Isn't that funny? Okay, I got it.
Oh, yay.
I got it. Let me find you again. And then go down.
And if anyone wants the PDF of this class, if you want to, print it out and follow along, again, send me an email. And
so there it is. And yes, tell us about this. Tell us, you started touching base a little bit earlier about your inspiration in building your design around a thought that you had. Tell us about this.
I can't even remember where I taught this initially, but it was for a convention. And so I wanted something that we could get completed in the allotted time. But what I really wanted to teach was, for some reason, I was at that moment enamored with reflections. And so I thought, what would be a really cool way to show reflections? And so I thought underneath of a rind, underneath of a knife, and then of course, having all kinds of water and then having the water reflecting down in. And so the teaching goal was to teach reflections and then of course explore, because this is called water, melanin drops. And so to teach the translucency of the melon, but then everybody loves water drops because it's such a, just an amazing optical illusion. I remember, again, when I was a kid, my mom had a keychain that looked like a great big apple with a huge water drop on it. And I, I can't even remember where we were, but it was like in some sort of official capacity, like at a doctor's office. But it's like the man that was helping us couldn't even move on because of the water drop on my mom's keychain. He could not believe it. And so maybe that's stuck in my head all these years that, what an amazing illusion. And that's all painting is we just fool people into seeing what we want them to see. And
It's,
so
it's
that's how this all.
That's very interesting. I love the reflection. I mean, the water drops are amazing in themselves, but the reflection and the seeds and the shadows created on the table from the watermelon, the whole thing is amazing. The handle of the knife and everything. Awesome. So that's what you have the ability to watch tomorrow night here for free. And there are people who are going to want the pattern. I can tell right now, they're saying they want the pattern. So they have to go to your website, right?
Or they just send me an email.
Yep. Just send her an email and you'll get them.
Yeah, I'll send you a PDF. And so if you want just the melon one, I'll send you that PDF so you can follow along in class tomorrow night.
Cool. So you heard it here, ladies. So go and grab your design pattern packet from Mary's email, Mary.
Yeah, just email me. And
that's easy. And Janelle put the email in the comment section a few times, so you have it over there.
Thanks, Janelle.
So thanks, Janelle. So where else will you be? I mean, it's kind of a silly question, but I ask it to everyone because other than Artful Webinars, of course, are you teaching in other places?
I can say that I announced my last on the road seminar in March. I would go teach in Florida in Mount Dora, where Janelle lives. I think I might in the fall of 21, I might teach on the road, but it's not finalized yet. I do have non-live online classes that one can purchase. There's a subscription and you can watch about 100 different videos. So that's an option. I'm going to do a seminar in Omaha in July. I'm just sure things will have changed by then. And I did a slight career move. I went back to school and got my master's degree, graduated in December, and I work for a college foundation, and I'm a grant writer and I work in development. So that's kind of stymied that just a little bit. And they're a really fun group of people, but they're not artistic. And so I'm really missing my art friends because we're a different breed.
Yes, I agree. But congratulations on your new degree. And yeah,
Thank you.
It's exciting, but it is a different path.
It is a different path, and it's been really rewarding. I've always been interested in social justice, and so that's what I spend my days doing, trying to coerce the good people of Omaha to fund worthy projects. And like I said, it's very rewarding, but it's not my art friends.
Well, I'm glad I can bridge that gap and bring you back a little bit to see the people, because you're gonna just have such a great class, and these people have such a great opportunity to be able to paint with you now that you're not traveling as much as like you once were.
Yeah, I can say I loved traveling. I loved meeting new people and seeing new things. But those of you that have done it, it is hard work. It is hard work. But
yeah, I haven't done a lot of it, but I mean, I feel like I get to travel around the world without ever leaving home.
Awesome.
Because I love the internet. I love social media.
Gosh, I do too. Who knew?
My way of getting around the world. So I know that Janelle's been posting your website. Do you have a YouTube channel as well?
Yes,
So they just look for Mary Kingslan Gibilisco and they'll find you on YouTube?
it's, I think my husband named it because I think it's called Kingslan DOT.com. I,
Okay.
but I think you can go, uh, you can also access it off of our website. If anyone out there has knowledge of how you do that off of our website, if that's the truth, because I just don't do it. Yeah, I think it's called Kingsland DOT.com on YouTube.
Well,
But
we'll check into that and then we'll post it in the comments
yeah,
after.
yeah,
And
there's a lot of technique videos on there, some full length videos as well.
and you also have you're on Facebook. Do you have a business page as well that shows your paintings, or is it just you?
I have one that's just kingsland.com. That's Kingsland. That's Facebook, and then the Mary Kingsland Gibilisco also. Which, if we're friends on that one, I put my painting stuff on there, and of course the cutest grandson ever.
We're not a little biased or anything.
Gosh, so-
You ever think about doing a portrait of your cutest grandson ever?
Oh, I've painted him twice now.
Have you?
Yep, yep. Um,
You don't have those around though, huh?
the last one I did, I gave to them, and then I've done so many. I love to draw, and actually, when I was in school, I thesised in drawing, not painting, and so
Uh,
I really really love to draw. And so I've done a lot of drawings and sketches of him. I just think he's amazing.
and you didn't keep any for yourself?
I yeah, some of them. I think one is in my office that I haven't been in since March 11th. My
So
work office.
you're working from home then?
Yeah, it's actually I left on March 11th to go see Janelle, and I have never gone back to my office because
Wow.
um yeah, they shut down our campus, and I haven't been back.
Wow. So Janelle just put your YouTube channel in, so thank you for that as well.
I should
So
have called her Janelle, my agent.
I know, huh? She's a super lady. I'm so happy to have met her and been able to work with her as well. And I'm so looking forward to working more with you too. So this is just wonderful. Both of you are wonderful people. So I have no more questions. I've run out of questions, and I think the audience has also. Is there any parting words that you'd like to bestow on us?
I'm not really sure because I feel like I've been pretty yucky. Um, just thank you all so much for coming. Thank you, Cindy, for, like you said, being the bridge between the teachers and the students, and friends and new friends. And I hope that you come to the class tomorrow night. And I always like to say I've had an amazing life, and I chalk it all up to art, uh, and being artfully connected to others.
Perfect. That's perfect. So yes, so come tomorrow night to Artfully Connected. Look for the live video, and it's gonna say live, or it'll have a purple banner that says watch party on it. And Mary will be there to answer your questions as we all are watching together her paint the beautiful watermelon, the reflection in the water. So don't hesitate to ask questions in any of the watch parties or paint alongs or meet the artist. So the next meet the artist is going to be with Mark Menendez, and it's in 2 weeks. And so please join us. I believe it's on the 18th. No, meet Mark. Yeah, on the 18th, Friday night. So until then, thank you all so very much for joining me. Thank you, Mary, for
My
joining me.
pleasure.
And thank you for being part of the Artful Webinars family. And I'm going to say goodnight to everyone and enjoy the rest of your week. Okay.